What we're talking about today is the wealth mindset shift from breaking free from the middle class thinking, making that shift. And while we're doing that, I'm almost done with my second book. And the second book is called Owner Shift. And it's kind of a story about a client making that shift and all of the things that went into it, the resistance in the beginning, learning about IBC, then all this stuff, and then about real estate, the hesitations, the obstacles. And it's kind of that story. And I'd like to have some people that have had that path of business ownership and that kind of development, going from self-employed to true business owner. If you've had that and you have the time to read the rough manuscript, which will be finalized within the next week, and you'd be willing to kind of get on maybe a group Zoom and give your feedback of what it needs, what's not clear. I want to do it different this time from Make Bank Without the Bank, meaning I want to make sure that I want this book to be really good and impactful. And I think that sometimes editors get to the point and they just want you to okay, it's good, release it. And I don't want to do that. So if you're on this call and you think, hey, I'd like to participate in that, send me an email and I would love to add you to the list. Okay, so let's be real. Most people want to be wealthy. Again, whatever that means to you. Yet I didn't grow up in a middle class mindset or middle class setting, but most people that I know did. And the difference isn't about IQ or luck. And it's really shifting how you think and how you act. And if you're stuck in that average, which is kind of like the middle class, right? It's time for that to be like a mental makeover, a mind shift makeover. So if we recognize the limitations of middle class thinking, one of the first ones that I think about and that I have heard I think I have lived in middle class. I think it's when I was an adult and I was kind of coming up and building wealth. So it was always in my friends, families, etc. There's always this fear of risk, right? The middle class mindset sees risk as something to avoid at all costs. And they'd rather keep a stable job and than explore opportunities. And sure, stability is important. I agree, but you can't prosper if you never bet on yourself. And again, I know people that they're like, hey, got this union job. I know I've got this pension. I know I've got these things. And they're looking for that stability and safety. I totally get it. But that comfort bias that the middle class thinking is, they love the idea of that's good enough. This is good enough for my life. And they prioritize the safety and the comfort, even if it means giving up bigger possibilities. Meanwhile, the wealthy actively look for ways to push the envelope. And sometimes the middle class mentality, they kind of envy that, but kind of resent that attitude of the wealthy as well, right? And that's where you get into, sure, tax the heck out of that wealthy person. But, think of the middle class approach as kind of like wearing a life jacket in a kiddie pool or a hot tub. Sure, you're safe, but you're going nowhere fast, right? It's kind of overkill. You don't really have to be that cautious. But the wealth mindset is, the first thing is invest in yourself first. Wealthy people don't pour money into the stock market. They pour time, energy, resources into their own personal growth, whatever it is, reading books, attending seminars, actively seeking mentors. Self-education is the rocket fuel for success. Like the wealthy mentality, even mindset, even if you don't have the parts of the wealth that you want, like the money, right? The time yet. But they focus on opportunity over security, and wealth-minded individuals spot openings everywhere. They jump on them. They understand security can be an illusion. I mean, jobs aren't guaranteed. Markets fluctuate. Technology evolves. They'd rather be part of innovation, the innovation wave, rather than be swept under it. And you get resentful when you see somebody because you have this scarcity mentality. If these people are having all this great success, then that means that it has to be taken away from me. And that's not how wealthy people think. Wealthy people think abundantly, which there's enough wealth to go around for everybody. Everybody should be wealthy that is ready to take that action. So think solutions, not problems. The middle class mindset is focusing on problems. Wealthy mindset is thinking about solutions. Instead of complaining about rising prices or job scarcity, or, the wealthy mindset asks, how do I fix this? What can I create to solve a widespread need? That's how to move from, problem dweller to solutions producer. And I sometimes think about asking ChatGPT, what's one thing that's not in the market that in 5 years I could dominate, Amazon, Google, or whatever. I don't know what answer they would come up with. They come up with some answer like, well, it'd be very difficult. But we are taught, and, when you're in the middle class, that, time for money is normal. Time for money is that's the only option. And it's just getting more money for your time. That's the trick, right? That's a false belief. Getting more money for your time is not the answer. So if you shift to value creation, right? Why does Amazon make so much money? Before, we actually had to go to stores. We had to go buy this stuff. We didn't have overnight 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. delivery. And because so many people fixate on trading hours for dollars and just increasing their rate for their time, and wealthy people focus on creating systems, products, services that continue to generate income over time. They understand that wealth means severing the direct relationship between hours worked and pay received. And there's so many things out there. Like, I think I mentioned this, but I was flying Idaho for that event, and I sat next to a guy who had a company that did the LED lighting for Target and Walmart. I mean, he solved a problem. He was in the food business before that. He solved the problem. Oh, there's a problem with lighting, and it's this, and this is the solution. And somebody in Korea can create this for me. So where's the problem that can be solved? Where's their value creation? But really looking at passive income myth versus reality, right? Passive income is not about slacking off and magically getting rich. I think sometimes there's books out there that say that. It's about setting up systems that don't need you to operate, real estate, businesses that generate money while you're sleeping. I know that we say this, probably you're getting tired of me saying that, but it takes hustle to build, but eventually it frees up your time. So it's kind of like eventually you're going to get what you want, but you got to get over that hump. And also, if you're middle class, I played golf yesterday at this club down here, and I'm not a member, but it's $1 million initiation. Okay. The guy that was hosting our group, which I didn't know, a friend of mine invited me because he had a base in the group, hanging around there, you're going to get opportunities that people hanging around at Rusty's Raw Bar, which is like a middle class kind of dive bar, they're not going to get those opportunities. At Rusty's, they're going to talk about all the things that's going wrong. At this golf course, they're going to talk about all the deals they're putting together. Right. And that's what they talked about. So, if you up level your network, it's going to make a big difference. And let's be blunt. If you're constantly hanging out with people that are saying why you can't do it and they're negative, even complacent people who only want to talk about the next happy hour, your mindset will match theirs. Seeking connections with folks that challenge you to rise is so important. It's one of the reasons that my neighborhood is tough, because all these people in here are retired. And when I say all, 90 whatever percent, right? So I'm not around people in this neighborhood that think like me. So I got to get around people that think like me outside of this neighborhood. But if you want to be wealthy, you have to refuse to lower the bar. So people who are winning financially want to win too. They know that an abundance mindset breeds more abundance. If your circle drags you into a scarcity mindset, time for new friends. At least set firmer boundaries, which, by the way, is not my great thing. Okay, so if we have that shift, we know what we want to do. We know we got to hang around with people that want the same thing. And by the way, if you said, well, Jim, I can't go hang out at $1 million initiation country club. Yeah, me neither. But charitable organizations, a lot of wealthy people hang out there. Like if there's some kind of big deal charity deal that they put on, like in Sioux City, Iowa, they have Saturday in the park around the 4th of July. My son Tanner got on the planning committee. and he's around some of the movers and shakers in that town, and he created relationships with them even when he was in his 20s. So that networking's huge. And then we keep talking about that, or I keep mentioning that. The other thing is embrace failure as part of the journey, right? You have to embrace failure, trial and error. Wealth building is not a straight line up. It's a roller coaster. Don't bail the moment that you experience a setback. Wealthy don't see failures as failures. They see them as paid tuition in a school of life, lessons that sharpen the wealthy for success. You know, iron sharpens iron. Like sometimes it's a tough lesson, and it's really perseverance over perfection. Middle class people often demands everything to be perfect before they move forward, and wealthy thinkers think more like, let's start, fix it on the fly, and just keep going. You know, if you're too afraid to fail, you're basically volunteering to do nothing. And ironically, that's the biggest fail of all, of having that regret and thinking someday, my gosh, why did I do that? Why didn't I try this? Would it have been any different? And, you know, that whole kind of exercise of being on your deathbed or your eulogy and what you want people to say about you or what you want to feel, like, I did everything. Like, I gave it everything that I had, right? And have few regrets. That's what I would hope for someday. You know, since I'm 59 and I'm halfway, I got a long time to worry about that. So if you cultivate that growth habit, growth is progress. You know, you read, listen to podcasts, join communities. Don't wait for enough time, make time. Wealth is rooted in skills, knowledge, and being consistently ahead of the curve, just a little bit. And education without execution is just mental hoarding. Test new ideas, courses, or books and see what sticks. Even half-baked action is better than a brilliant idea that never leaves your brain. I mean, I'll give you an idea. Like when Nick Costco first brought to me heart math, that's not a real thing. That's some crackpot thing that, somebody trying to take Nick's money, right? But then I realized, or I read, educated myself, the connection between your brain and your heart. And I did the heart math thing because I'm like, well, what's it going to hurt? I'll try it. And I came into it like, this does not work, but it does. And you can see the coherence, and having the little thing on your ear seems silly, but you know, it feels like it works. You can see your heart rate changing. You can see your breathing change. It's like meditation. It's like you can see the change. Well, if you try something, you see a change, it's a good change, then you do it again. And that's the key. So breaking free from the middle class thinking isn't about hating on stability. It's about refusing to settle for just enough when you're capable of more. And everyone on this call is capable of more. I've seen in 400 square foot apartments, and the receptionist at a real estate place, a single mom and no ex-husband or whatever to help provide, go from that to abundance. I mean, like, I've seen this over and over and over and over. Everyone can do it, right? But to move toward true wealth, financially, personally, spiritually, you got to revamp the mindset of what you really have and embrace those calculated risks and invest in your growth. The only thing standing between you and a life of abundance is your belief that you don't deserve it or it's not possible. Change that. Change it now. You do deserve it. And today's risk is tomorrow's security. Be willing to make that shift. And I'll end it with like this is, remember this thing. And I don't remember where I got this. It was in a book or something. No, I can't remember, but it wasn't that long ago. Is energy takes 17 seconds to attract like energy. It takes 68 seconds, so 4 thoughts, to create momentum. Thoughts are energy. If you get a negative thought, hey, I don't deserve that, then you need positive thoughts to get rid of that negative thought. And then you need at least 4 positive thoughts to create momentum. So when you at night write down your 3 things you're grateful for, and in the morning, when you say your 3 affirmations in the mirror out loud, say 4, right? Now we have momentum. That means if I stand in the mirror for 68 seconds saying affirmations, I have momentum. Now, when I turn around and go out to the world, I have positive energy, positive thought, momentum. And you can say to yourself every 17 seconds, I got to think something positive, right? So go out there, elevate your thinking, break free from the same old, same old. Nobody's coming to do it for you. One of the best things that I learned when I was a kid is no one was going to save me. This is on you. You've got what it takes. And that's what I told myself is no one's coming to save me. Nobody cares whether I'm successful or not, only me. Is that 100% true? Well, I mean, there might be somebody that cared out there. I just didn't have them in my life when I was a kid. You know, like, it's okay that nobody's coming out there to save you because you got you. You're the one that's going to save you. Okay, I'm going to read the comments real quick and see if there's any questions in here. Public school systems trained us to be compliant. Yeah, stand in line, get straight A's, do what they want us to do. And that's what an A student is. Somebody that can do something that somebody else wants them to do the way that they want them to do. Get married, buy a home, then go in the golden years, die with your loved ones around you. Yeah, it's a box. Yeah, let's get outside the box. You know, like people think I'm crazy. I mean, I was just playing in this golf tournament. Well, Jim, you still working? They look at me. You still working? Yeah, I'm still working. I'm going to be working when I'm 90, hopefully 120. I mean, and yeah, Angela, problems are opportunities. Like solve the problem. If you solve the problem, you get really good at solving problems. Guess what? You don't have any problems. So producer is my word for 2025. Jamie, I love it. Yeah. Produce energy, produce value, produce something, right? You know, I love all these comments and I appreciate you guys being here on Mondays. And hopefully we're just going to keep building on this. It's going to repeat because some of this stuff is just the tenets that we need, right? But it's like getting up and working out. A lot of times I do, you know, push exercises are push exercises, but we just keep doing them and we get stronger. So the more that we do this, we get stronger. The more that we talk about this mindset stuff, we get stronger. So we just got to get stronger, get stronger, get stronger, get stronger, get stronger. And it's the reminder. And you know, again, people need to be reminded as much as they need to be educated. So think of this Monday this is a reminder that I need to win Monday to win the week. And this little 20-minute thing is just to help me with my mindset. Just a little bit of positive energy in my day, which again builds momentum, which then builds momentum and attracts more positive energy. And I promise you, if you get a vision of what you really want your life to look like, and you're not afraid to dream, you're not afraid to like want what you want, then you'll start to see a path towards it. And the path will not be a straight line, but that's okay too. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time and your energy. And I appreciate the comments and Godspeed.